June 2013, Seoul. When the bell rang, it wasn't by chance. It was BTS. Uniforms, chalkboards, overturned chairs. 7 boys on the stage, asking in unison, "What is your dream?" This was the birth of BTS in 2013 with No More Dream, a direct attack on South Korea's suffocating school system. While other groups sang about light romance or glamour, they rapped about sleepless nights, exhaustion, and a predetermined future. The energy was raw, almost defiant. Hip hop as a student manifesto. Soon after came NO, continuing the fight against the system, and Boy in Love, blending rebellion with themes of youth, cementing the identity of the so-called school trilogy. Each video reinforced the school aesthetic: hallways, desks, teachers, shouts. It was instant identification for anyone who felt trapped. By 2014, the rage had grown with Dark and Wild. BTS made it clear they wouldn't remain just boys in uniforms. Heavier beats, darker visuals, lyrics about obsessive love and identity. It was the transition from rebellious students to artists with a message. What almost nobody knows, No More Dream was rewritten more than 20 times before becoming their debut track. Proof of how badly they wanted to get it right. And if the fury of youth burned in the classroom, the next era would reveal the beauty and the pain of growing up while racing against time. Flowers falling to the ground, friendships marked by scars, and the feeling that the most beautiful youth is also the most painful. In 2015, the HYYH era began, the most beautiful moment in life, when BTS stopped being just a group of school rebels and became the chroniclers of a generation. I Need You was the song that opened doors, bringing vulnerability in lyrics that spoke of love, despair, and survival. The music video showed falls, escapes, and friendship, inaugurating the Bangtan universe, a secret storyline spread across videos, hidden notes in albums, and symbols still debated by fans today. The sequence continued with Run, an ode to youth that insists even while stumbling, and later Fire, a call for total liberation. BTS came to be seen not only as idols, but as narrators of a fragile, fleeting, and universal moment. It was music that played on the radio and at the same time provoked debates and theories. What almost no one knows, the first BU notes were written like pages of a torn diary, creating a puzzle for the fandom. If youth was burning while running against time, the next chapter would be desire, temptation, and the fall into the forbidden. Painting in a museum, Baroque colors, sweet poison. In 2016, BTS released Wings, the album that dove into themes of desire, temptation, and identity. Inspired by Damien by Hermann Hesse, each member received a solo track, exploring their own shadows and longings. The Blood, Sweat, and Tears video became a landmark. Luxurious aesthetics, religious symbols, broken statues. It was BTS declaring that growing up hurts, but also seduces. The international audience began to take a closer look. The album entered the Billboard 200 at number 26, a sign that the group was no longer just a local phenomenon. In 2017 came the repackaged You Never Walk Alone, bringing 2 songs that would become classics: Spring Day, still called the unofficial national anthem of Korea, and Not Today, a cry for resistance against injustice. Between melancholy and rage, BTS consolidated a style that mixed philosophy, politics, and raw emotion. What almost nobody knows, the Blue Butterfly in Spring Day was inspired by the butterfly effect theory, suggesting that small choices change destinies. If desire marked this phase, the next would bring a greater lesson: to love yourself. Letters, flowers, and a clear warning: before you can love someone, you need to love yourself. In 2017, BTS began the Love Yourself era, a trilogy divided into Her, Tear, and Answer. The narrative revolved around the cycle of love: attraction, loss, and healing, told through songs that blended global pop with raw emotion. DNA took the group to the top of the charts with its futuristic aesthetic and addictive chorus. Meanwhile, Fake Love revealed the vulnerability of a love collapsing becoming a milestone on international stages. This phase also cemented their global reach. BTS achieved #1 on the Billboard 200, appeared on American talk shows, and gave speeches in fluent English. But the symbolic peak came outside of music. RM's speech at the UN in partnership with UNICEF for the Love Myself campaign. It was the transition from idols to spokespeople of a generation searching for identity. What almost no one knows, the choreography of Fake Love includes gestures inspired by Greek statues of despair. After loving and losing, the next era would explore the unconscious and the inner shadow. Persona, shadow, ego. In 2019, BTS dove into Carl Jung's psychology to build the map of the Soul era, which began with Persona and reached its peak with Seven. It was an exploration of the masks we wear and the hidden parts we carry. Boy Love featuring Halsey brought vibrant colors and contagious joy, breaking view records within hours. But soon came the contrast. Black Swan, with its almost theatrical performance, explored the fear of losing passion for art. In 2020, the album Seven gathered 7 years of journey and scars. On became an anthem of resistance with military drums and monumental choreography. During this era, BTS established itself as a definitive global force. Millions of albums sold, stadium shows filled to capacity, and a constant presence in worldwide media. What almost no one knows, the Black Swan scene in the amphitheater was filmed as a metaphor for art dying without an audience, a foreshadowing of the pandemic that was about to arrive. And when the world stopped, BTS had to sing from an unexpected place, from home. Silence in the streets, empty stages, an entire planet on pause. In 2020, the pandemic froze the world, and BTS responded with the album B. Unlike anything before, it was created in an intimate way, with the members themselves participating in visual direction, concept design, and even photography. Life Goes On opened the era with a message that's both simple and painfully necessary. Life goes on, even when it feels impossible. It became the first Korean song to reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, breaking language barriers in the middle of a global crisis. The album blended comfort and vulnerability, but tracks like Blue and Gray, written in the midst of anxiety, and Stay carrying the energy of hope. The Life Goes On video showed homemade images, messy rooms, and tired eyes. Everyone saw themselves in it. What almost no one knows, the cover photo of B was taken in a room set up by the members themselves, reinforcing the concept of closeness. But if intimacy marked 2020, the next step would be conquering the world with choruses in English. An explosion of colors, a catchy chorus, and records breaking one after another. In 2020, BTS released Dynamite, their first song entirely in English, and the impact was immediate. #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, a Grammy nomination, and a success that crossed cultural borders. With its retro aesthetic and optimistic energy, Dynamite became the soundtrack of a world trying to breathe amid the pandemic. Soon after, in 2021, came Butter, which dominated the Billboard Hot 100 for 10 consecutive weeks, reinforcing BTS's position as the biggest pop group on the planet. The follow-up was Permission to Dance, co-written by Ed Sheeran, with sign language included in the choreography, an invitation to inclusion. This phase represented its main screen peak, when the group stopped being just a K-pop phenomenon and became part of global pop culture. What almost no one knows, Dynamite was recorded in a rush and was originally not even meant to be part of an album, yet it became a turning point. And after the global overclock came the pause to look back, and with it, point that felt like an ellipsis. In 2022, BTS released Proof, an anthology they gathered almost a decade of songs and declared the end of Chapter 1. It was a celebration, but also a warning. Each member would follow solo projects. Individual albums came from Jimin's intimate R&B to J-Hope's visceral rap, through Arm's experimentation and Suga's lyricism. Each revealed their own color, without erasing the thread that bound them. In the midst of it all, the inevitable military enlistment that paused group activities and spread uncertainty. Still, the connection with fans endured. In 2025 had all completed their service, and on July 1st came the announcement that set the internet on fire: a new album and a world tour in 2026. It was the promise of a rebirth, not a 7-point race against the world, but as men who had already conquered it. But almost no one knows where proof is chosen, because each previous album is considered a proof of who BTS is, fragments of a greater identity. And so the cycle closes. From the classroom to the global stage, each era was a living lesson.
See the next video. It's not magic, it's structure. Most K-dramas have 16 episodes, and that's no accident. The format was born on Korean broadcast TV, which organizes stories in 2-month cycles, 2 nights a week, 8 weeks in total. It's almost a narrative clock: setup, conflict, turn, resolution. Audiences already expect this arc.